everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Almira. I'm from English Department of Duta Bangsa, University of Surakarta, and this time I would like to answer midterm question of British Studies. Number 1. After I learned about the British Studies, I can know that the culture, geography, and history, and there's many advances further in industry. And if we learn about British Studies, it can allow us to develop our interest in any aspect of British identities across disciplines and centuries, and offers an excellent foundation for independent research. We will explore the shifting meaning of the British from the Roman era the present day with experts who are highly research active. And the number 2, and I would like to tell a little bit about the history of Britain and the differences of the word England, the Great Britain and United Kingdom. The history of the United Kingdom back in the early 18th century with the Treaty of Anian and Act of Anian. The core of the United Kingdom as a unequal state come into being 707 with the political union of the kingdoms of England and Scotland into a new unitary state called Great Britain. In Anno Domini 43, the Roman conquest of Britain began. The Romans maintained control of their province and of Britannia until the early 5th century. The end of Roman rule in Britain facilitated the Anglo-Saxon settlement of Britain, which historians often regard as the origin of England and of the English people. And number 3, the origin of English comes from Old English, which was spoken until about 1100. At that time, the Germanic tribes who invaded England spoke the same language. The Germanic tribes of Britain developed into what we now call Old English. Old English is the language spoken by the Anglo-Saxon people who invaded the British Isles. These Anglo-Saxon are Germanic speakers. That's why it's not surprising that Old English grammar is similar to Germanic. At the time, English was called English, was written using runes instead of the Latin script we know today. So the differences between Great Britain and the United Kingdom is the geographical and political use of the term. And the number 4, the history of English language dates back to the Anglo-Saxon migration to the British Isles about 1,500 years ago. English is a West Germanic language derived from the Anglo-Frisian dialects brought to the island of Britain by Germanic immigrants from parts of the northwest of what is now the Netherlands and Germany. At the first, Old English was a group of dialects originating from the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms of England. One of these dialects, West Saxon, eventually dominated. Then the original Old English was then influenced by 2 waves of invasion. The first wave of invasion was the invasion of speakers of the Scandinavian branch of the German language family. They conquered and inhabited parts of Britain in 8th and 9th centuries, and then this second wave in invasion was the Normans in the 11th century who used a dialect of French. These 2 invasions result English being mixed into a mixed language. living together with the Scandinavian tribes eventually result in grammatical simplification and enrichment of the Anglo-Saxon core of English language. And the number 5, I would like to tell about Polish, Anglo-Saxon, and Proto-Indo-European. Number 1 is Polish. It's a long poem written around Anno Domini. This poem is in Old English, often cited as important work of Anglo-Saxon literature. And the number 2 is Anglo-Saxon are a group that has existed in England since the 5th century Anno Domini. This designation can be simplified. Anglo-Saxon are countries that include the United Kingdom and the rest of British Isles. And then Proto-Indo-European is the ultimate ancestor of many European and Indian language. Proto-Indo-European is the most ancient ones. Much of the parent language from which they descended can be reconstructed. This reconstructed parent language is sometimes called simply Indo-European. So that's it, my answer. Thank you.